We have been monitoring potato psyllids, which transmit a bacterium that causes a disease called zebra chip in potatoes. And I'm working on this project with Nora Olson and Phil Nolte and Mike Thornton and Alex Carousel, all with University of Idaho. And we started finding potato psyllids in grower fields on, I believe, June 19th of this year. We have been taking weekly samples using yellow sticky cards, using a vacuum sampler to suck psyllids off the plants, and also taking leaf samples to look for nymphs on the plants. So far, almost everything we found has been adult psyllids on yellow sticky traps. And we have been finding psyllids every week since the first date that we started finding them. And many of them have been positive for Liberibacter, which is the bacterium that causes zebra chip. Last week, we found plants on the Kimberly Research and Extension Center that tested positive for zebra chip. They tested positive for the bacterium Liberibacter that causes zebra chip. And these had just classic symptoms of zebra chip, so curling of the leaves, pink discoloration of the leaves, necrosis of some of the leaves, and then when we dug up the tubers and cut into them, they had the characteristic discoloration of the tubers that you find with the zebra chip plants. So that's what we found so far. It's hard to say what we expect to see in the coming weeks. This is the first time anyone, to my knowledge, has really taken a close look at potato psyllids in Idaho. We've known them to occur for decades. They've been reported to exist here, but as far as I know, no one has really done extensive monitoring to see when and where they show up and at what population levels. Up to this point, the numbers have been very low. We're again finding primarily adults, and we actually haven't found any nymphs so far in all of our sampling efforts. On the potato foliage itself. We're just finding adults almost exclusively on yellow sticky cards, and we're putting 10 yellow sticky traps per field in a grower field around the perimeter of a field, and the most we found so far has been, I believe, 7 or 8 adults after these cards have been out for a week. And so our numbers have increased this past week up to that number. About 7 or 8 was the most that we found. Up until that point, it was typical to find 1, 2, maybe 3 psyllids over the course of a week. So it's hard to say what we would expect to find in the future. Again, our numbers have increased this past week. We'll certainly keep a close eye on it and keep the information out there and what we're finding. It's not a good sign that the numbers have increased, but we're not sure if they're going to continue increasing, if they're going to remain steady, or what's going on. We're continuing to find psyllids that are positive for the bacterium, but we are finding some negative samples now. The first couple weeks we found lots of positives, and in our samples more recently we're starting to see some negatives, so some psyllids that are not carrying the bacterium. So I guess that's one sort of small ray of light that we see. But yeah, again, I hesitate to speculate on what we're going to see in the future, but we're keeping an eye on it, and we will certainly keep everyone updated.